Hey there guys, super excited, Simeon Krastev here, and in today's video I want to share my backstory and how I was able over the past 3 years go from somebody with no job, no friends, no family, no skills to now owning multiple businesses and following my dreams. And I want to share with you the ins and outs. I want to share or the blood, sweat, and tears, as I'm sure many of you are going through the exact same journey as me now, and you need that extra support, you need that extra motivation, and you need somebody to be really open about the success and the struggles, because social media kind of glorifies entrepreneurship and what's happening and how everybody's crushing it and how everybody's successful, because that wasn't the case for me for a very, very long time. And even to this date, every single day is a struggle. Every single day requires for me to put in the extra work and have the driven mindset where I don't give up for any circumstances. So I'll take you behind the scenes. So here I am, 23 years old, just graduated college, and life's perfect. I got this corporate job, I'm working in marketing, even though my background is in health and fitness, but I'm learning a ton, I'm meeting new people, and I'm still living at home. I don't have a lot of expenses, so I'm kind of making that chunk of money every single month that I'm spending on myself. So life's good, I'm going out with friends, hanging out, spending on food, on supplements, whatever I needed, I kind of had it all for myself. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, that's great of a lifestyle, but I kind of want to be an independent person. And the company that I was working for was giving me the opportunity to learn while I was getting paid. It was a multinational company, and I was working for one of their biggest brands. It was a international product that we had. It was in the fast-moving consumer goods space. It was in the food category. It was a snacking product, and I had the opportunity to learn there tons of information about marketing, about the industries as a whole, all sorts of techniques and methods that they were leveraging in order to grow the brand. It was a multi-million-dollar brand. I'm working very hard, actually. I was working 14 hours a day, and I'm thinking to myself, I kind of want to start my own thing. I want to have my own business. I want to, impact more people. I kind of don't feel like what I'm doing here matters. And that's what a typical millennial says, by the way. But that's really how I felt, because with my personal training background, I always enjoyed meeting people and connecting with people and helping people. But the job as a personal trainer in Bulgaria didn't pay me very well. So I had to kind of shift my focus into something else that could pay the bills, that could allow me to have a better lifestyle. So this is how I ended up to my corporate job that I quite didn't enjoy. So I'm sitting and thinking to myself, is this what I'm going to be doing the next 5-10 years? And the answer was straight up no. I wanted to move to a different country and try to start a business. And I wanted to move to a different country so I can collect some more money and be actually able to invest in the business. And I started researching all sorts of countries. And I ended up having Hong Kong as number one on my list. First, because English is my second and only language that I speak besides my native language, which is Bulgarian. And then Hong Kong was a British colony. It's also in Asia, meaning that it's close to China, meaning that the business I was looking to start back then, which was a dropshipping business where I could have access to all sorts of products from China, would be a hand's reach, because Hong Kong's right next to China. So I figured if I'm in Hong Kong, I'm going to be making decent money and I'll be able to have access to all the companies in China, so I can actually negotiate prices and kind of, work around the deal, so I can set up my business and start a dropshipping company and be based in Hong Kong because the taxes are low. There's a lot of benefits of being a foreigner in Hong Kong. This is why I moved to Asia, because I've never been there before. I've never traveled to Asia. So I figured out this is going to be a big step, but I have to make it. So I got a raise at my job just around that time. My salary was around $900 a month. So in Bulgaria, they have this scheme, the banks, they give you 12 months worth of your salary. So they gave me a bank loan of 12,000 leva, which is about $8,000, I think. And it was only 2% interest rate, which is very low. And that gave me kind of the confidence for me to be able to move to Hong Kong with the bank loan that I took, with no job, no friends, no family. So I booked a one-way ticket, and it was for 16th of December 2016. So here I am in Hong Kong now. And I'm connecting with people. I'm trying to find myself a job, and it's not working. It's super hard. I spent the past 5 months, connecting with people before I moved to Hong Kong, and I'm locally in Hong Kong still connecting to people, but nothing is resulting into a job interview or a job. So I finally was able to connect over LinkedIn with a guy that ended up being the person who's responsible for the personal training certifications of all the people in Asia, Japan, China, Vietnam, Thailand, and Hong Kong as well. So figure out, wow, that's an amazing opportunity. This guy, he for sure knows a lot of business owners that own gyms or health and fitness studios. So I'm going to be able to land a job. And he agreed on meeting with me. He invited me down to his studio and we had a nice chat. He was super humble, super nice. He invited me to their Christmas party. So here we are at the Christmas party and I'm like shaking. I'm meeting everyone and I'm like smiling. I'm super excited. I'm really confident. I'm thinking to myself, I got myself a job. I got this, personal training background experience. And, I have like 3-4 years in the industry and I have this marketing knowledge as well that could benefit any gym owner. And, I started connecting with everyone. I'm shaking hands and sharing my story and saying that I'm looking for a job. And even they gave me kind of the opportunity to share my story on an open mic. So I stood in front of everyone. I was kind of shaky though. I hate public speaking, or at least I used to hate public speaking. So I'm shaking and, I'm sharing my story of what I'm looking for and how I came from Bulgaria to now Hong Kong and I'm looking for a job. And everybody's like super supportive. They're like, yeah, sure, we're going to help you. After the holidays, we'll help you get a job interview and we'll get you a job and you'll come down to our facility. Everybody's like, cheers, cheers. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be super exciting. And guess what? Nobody invited me to an interview. They stopped replying to my messages. Literally not a single person after that Christmas party helped me in any way. They didn't even reply to the messages, as I said. So I'm kind of discouraged. I'm thinking to myself, that was my last chance because these were like all the people within the space that could help me get a job. And for marketing, I had some knowledge, but I've been only for a year in the industry. So I don't have a lot of, marketing knowledge to be able to land a job in a big corporation because obviously my experience not enough. Plus, Mandarin is the second official language. Cantonese is the first. And then English is kind of the third language in Hong Kong. So you got to have a very, very specific skill set in order to be hired in Hong Kong. Else, if you have a skill set that's readily available within the Hong Kong, marketplace, the job marketplace, they would hire a Hong Kong person over you. So I ended up going to many, many interviews. I started applying and they would invite me down for an interview. And I would compete with these graduates from Boston University, Harvard, all these A-League schools. And I'm, Simeon from Bulgaria, graduated marketing from University of National and World Economy that nobody has ever heard of. And I'm thinking to myself, how am I ever going to get a job? And I'm almost over with my money. I got about $1,000 left in my bank account. And I already prepaid my accommodation for 6 months. So I knew that I had these 6 months, but it's already month 3 and I only have $1,000. So whoever's been to Hong Kong knows that $1,000 don't go so far. I'm thinking, what I'm going to do? How the heck's that ever going to work? Luckily enough for me, I was able to get a job. I was hired by this German guy. He was working with all the airlines. They've been manufacturing health and fitness gadgets. They were selling on all sorts of airlines. So they hired me to help them build their online presence and work with their online shop. So that's how I was able to get my first job. And it was a minimum wage job. But because I was used to live so lean and mean moving to the other country, I was used to live on a very, very lean budget. My expenses were probably $1,200 at the time. I was able to start to save up some money and actually launched 2 e-commerce stores. I launched an e-commerce store for clothing and I figured out, oh, that's going to be amazing. I started building this brand and I started posting and everything's growing. I started getting some orders. But then you got to realize that I had a PayPal that was set up in the United States while I was going there back in my college years on a work and travel program. I had a bank account in Bulgaria and then I was selling from Hong Kong, shipping products from China. And some of my customers were in Germany. Some of them were, in the United States. So it was a little bit sketchy. And all the payment processors I was working with, they started shutting off my accounts. And then all the customers started backfiring at me because the sizing in Asia is completely different from the sizing in Bulgaria and the sizing in Europe and the sizing in North America. I ended up investing all the money that I was able to save over the past 5 months working the corporate job that I got and didn't work. What's interesting is that the guy that I was working for there, he ended up bankrupting because the gadgets he was selling, all the products, the health and wellness gadgets, they were defective, most of them, because they were shipped from China. So all the customers that he had from the airlines started complaining to the airlines and started returning the products. So the company went under. and they didn't pay me for 3 months. And I'm in Hong Kong again with no job. I'm 3 months behind on getting my salary, and there's no opportunity for me to get a new job, because in Hong Kong, in order to get a job, you need a visa. And in order for you to switch a job, you need 3 months for the visa to be processed. And I have zero savings. I have about $1,500 into my account, and I paid the rent for another month. So I'm left with $1,000. I paid my bank loans. I paid my Shopify fees. I paid, everything that was involved with my business was around $300-400 worth of expenses monthly. And I'm left with $500. Again, no job. Again, no support. Again, no money. And I did the same thing that I did when I moved to Hong Kong. I went to American Express. They have a setup in Hong Kong. And I used my old contract because they already laid me off from the job. I went with the contract, and I told them, hey, listen, this is my salary. I've been working there for a year now. Is it possible to get a credit card? And they gave me a credit card, and the limit was 10,000 Hong Kong dollars, which I'm not sure right now, but I think it's around $1,500. And this card was a lifesaver for me. This card really helped me, drag myself up, because it was a dark time. When I would pull up my phone, every single notification was that I owed money. And I don't know if it ever happened to you guys, but when you pull up your phone, when you pull up the banking app and you see all those expenses, so it's like minus, 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 minus. And I had to scroll like all the way back. I had to like scroll the app for me to be able to see when was the last time any money came into the account. And this was the space I was in, and I have no money to come back in Bulgaria, and I also didn't have the eyes to come in Bulgaria, because everybody would be pointing at me and saying, hey, you failed, why did you move there? And I felt terrible. Like I had this pressure on my chest, and I would wake up, and I'm a very strong character, I would say, but it was probably like the first time I had tears on my eyes. And it wasn't tears because I wasn't making it, but because I was in a position where there was nothing I could do, or at least I thought so. So I'm going to this ATM with the American Express card, and I own a lot of money. I asked a friend that I met in Hong Kong to borrow me some money, and I go with the American Express card to this ATM machine, and the card said it's not activated yet. I didn't have money to eat that night. It was probably around October, and it's super cold outside, and I don't have money to eat, and there's no money in the cart. All my other cards are blocked, no money in them as well. I ended up being super frustrated, and I wondered, what the hell did I do with my life? Why did I move to that country? What am I gonna do now? And I ended up going back to my apartment and slept the whole night, and my chest and my eyes were so heavy, I'm even like feeling emotional right now. But that was my first experience with entrepreneurship, and it was trying to get my business off the ground. And I was giving everything. Like, guys, it's not like I was going there and partying every night. I was working every single day for 12-14 hours, and then I would go and put in another 4, 5, 6 hours on my business. So I was working literally like 18 hours every single day, and the end result after a year of that effort was bank loan of 12,000 leva, which is about $8,000. Zero money in my bank account, another credit card, and nothing. I couldn't even go back home. And I'm thinking to myself, like, how the heck I'm going to be able to pull myself out? As they say, this is like my favorite saying now, the obstacle's the way. The obstacle's the way. Because at that time, I had like literally no options. That's why they say, like, when your back's against the wall, that's when you come up with ideas and things to do. So I pulled up my contact list, and I went back to all the people that I've connected over my stay in Hong Kong, and I saw there was an immigration lawyer. He really helped me back when I first moved to Hong Kong. I had a meeting with him. He explained how the visa situation really works, and he said you should definitely start publishing content, get yourself out there. This is how I was able to build my business. And I started the YouTube challenge, as you can see back on the channel. I did a 30-day challenge where I was doing exercise every single day, kind of sharing my journey of getting myself back in shape. And he followed that journey, so we stayed in touch, and I went to meet him for a coffee, and I didn't really expect much. I just wanted to get an advice, of how I can get a job, what are the job opportunities in Hong Kong right now. I figure out, like, he's a lawyer, he's going to be connected, he's going to know some influential people, he's going to help me out. I went there with no particular plan, and I sat down and kind of shared the story, kind of shared what happened. He probably felt for me, and He was like, okay, so what do you want to do now? And I said, I have no other option but to start a business. And I have this skill set. I can use now Facebook advertising, and I can help businesses get more sales and get more customers. And that's what I've been doing in my previous job. And I have to start a business. So do you know any people that have a business and need somebody to help them out with their marketing? And he laughed at me and he said, I really like your story. I like your attitude. You seem like a go-getter. So I'm going to give you $500. And there's this event coming up next week. We're going to do this event at a co-working space. This is how the co-working spaces promote themselves. They get a speaker. And he was speaking on a topic which was intelligent content marketing and how he was able to build his business. It was like, can you leverage that Facebook ads you were talking about, Facebook advertising, and fill up the room for me? And I'm going to pay you $500. And that very moment, I was in business. I got my first customer. I got so excited. I guys can't believe it. I was super excited. I'm shaking going back home, and I'm thinking to myself, yes, finally. First money I ever made off of, offering a service other than bring my time for money at a job. And it got me super, super emotional. Calling my mom, I'm like, I started my business in Hong Kong. I got my first customer. And she's like, is everything okay? Are you going to be all right? I'm like, yes, everything's going to work out. And over the next several months, I started moving all across Asia. And I'm not going to go into the details of that in this video as it's going to be too long. I'm going to probably share in another video. But I started moving to Bangkok, in Thailand, and moved to Cambodia, Vietnam, Bali. I lived at all these different places so I can save up some money. And I was living off my credit card that I was barely paying off, and I was making that $500 a month. So this is how I started my first business. I started publishing as well. I figured out there's got to be a way for me to reach more people. So I started this blog. I started publishing articles. So I published about 90 articles. Word of mouth started spreading out. I helped quite a few people for free, actually. I started reaching out to people, and I would help them out for free with Facebook advertising. I ended up connecting with a few clients that started actually paying me. So I was making about $1,500 a month, which for me at that point was like tons of money, as I'm living in Asia. And Asia, if you want, you can spend very low amount of money. Of course, if you want to spend a lot of money, it's like anywhere. But at $1,500 a month, I was pretty comfortable. I'm putting in the work. I'm working every single day. I'm publishing. I'm connecting with people. This is how I started the business. But then I had to move back to Bulgaria. I was thinking to myself, I'm going to start from scratch. I'm going to have a setup where I'm going to be recording videos, publishing tons of content, and I'm going to grow the agency. But I realized that the business I was in, I was the only person responsible for everything. And it was a very enjoyable business. I mean, I kind of put where my regular job was, where my business was, and it was exactly the same. I just had a job where I was just paying myself, but I still wasn't building a business. And that was a very good distinction that I had to make between what is it to create a job for yourself and what is it to create a business. And the definition of a business is something that operates without you. That's at least a developed business. And that's what I wanted to do for myself. And luckily enough, I connected with a client of mine. His name's Stefan Graziani. And he was with a network marketing company. And in the past, I was very, very skeptical about the space. I was very skeptical about the industry. I've been offered quite a few times, to join different companies. And I've been told the pitch. I'm sure all of you have been told the pitch. Just find 5 people, and they find 5 people, and you retire yourself. With a grain of salt, I kind of started working with him and, supporting his business. And, over time, I started learning about the industry. I started learning about how it all works. Started to see how you can help people at scale, but over time, you build an asset for yourself. The difference is that the focus is not the business. The focus is the customer and the results they're getting. Like, what are the products and services that you can offer to your customers in order to be able to bridge the gap? This is how I actually started, in network marketing, and it's been 2 years. I've been building a team, I've been building a business, and it's international now. We're in 3 countries. We're in the United Kingdom, we're in Bulgaria, business in Japan. I'm full-time now in my business, and I've been able to build a team of over 30 people now that are working actively in the business. We have over 100 team members. That's the journey. I'm going to be sharing more about the ins and outs of what I'm doing, but this is kind of the first big picture intro video that I'm doing on this channel, and it's been 3 years now. But just kind of wanted to give you the short story. I'm not gonna go in all the details. Just wanted to connect back with you guys. And if you're an entrepreneur, if you're someone who's looking to start a business right now, or you're looking for inspiring stories, know that it's It's going to be tough, but there's a way if there's a will and if there's the blood, sweat, and tears and the persistence. If these things are there, you're going to be able to build a business. So let me know in the comments down below if you're looking to start a business, if you're actively building one, and I'll be more than happy to connect with you. If you like to learn more about entrepreneurship, mindset, and building health, wealth, and relationships through what you're doing, feel free to like this video, give it a thumbs up, and also subscribe to the channel because I'm going to be sharing more and more information and more valuable content about how I was able to actually implement some of the strategies, tactics of building the business, and give you like really the practical tools that allow me to actually be able to do what I do. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.